Hi, friends. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Katie, and welcome to Okay, But Did You Know? A podcast where we talk about the TV and media that we love with a friend who's never seen it before.
Today, we're recapping and chatting about Once Upon a Time, episode 407, The Snow Queen. This episode aired on November 9th, 2014. It was written by our showrunners, Eddie and Adam, and was directed by Billy Gerhardt. And before we get into our recapping and chatting, let's go over a synopsis for The Snow Queen. In Arendelle, when a man who happens upon the royal grounds tries to kidnap the princesses, Ingrid blasts him back with her magic by accident. She fears she's a monster, but Helga and Gerda promise that they'll always be there for her. Years later, after watching her younger sisters at a ball, Ingrid decides the best thing for her kingdom is to leave and let Helga become queen. They convince her to see a man who can help her control her powers. The Dark One offers her gloves to conceal her magic and an urn to contain her in exchange for the ribbons that the sisters all wear. Finally feeling free enough to be out, Ingrid is approached by the Duke of Wesselton, who forces Ingrid's hand, and she releases her magic. Helga steps in to protect her, but when he uses Helga as a shield, Ingrid accidentally kills her sister. Gerda locks Ingrid in the urn and goes to the rock trolls so that they will take away the memories of her sisters from everyone in Arendelle's borders. And in Storybrooke, while planting her mirror in the clock tower, Ingrid is caught so that Emma can interrogate her about what she's planning and why. Ultimately, Ingrid wants Emma to see that they are the family that she's always wanted, and that her real family doesn't trust her or her magic. As she riles Emma up, she gets exactly what she wants, and Emma's magic goes haywire, hurting David in the process, and causing Emma to run away to protect herself. Meanwhile, Robin is still conflicted about his feelings for Regina, even though she tells him he should leave her alone. But after a talk with Will, where he's reminded that he should fight for his true love, he ignores his vows and his code, and for tonight, chooses Regina. I have so many thoughts about that part specifically.
I was about to say, that was, that happened.
That happened. And this is something about Outlaw Queen. I love them as a couple, truthfully. Like, I love the actors. I love that Regina gets to be happy for however brief of time she gets to have Robin. But especially in this part of the arc, it feels just kind of shoved in there.
Yeah.
And like the fact of his constant not being able to just make a decision and just making Regina more hurt in the process. I'm like, figure your own shit out first before you go to her. Because honestly, at this point, unless you're willing to tell Regina, I choose you, which he does at the end, but unless you're willing to tell her that, leave her alone. Because it just gets to be annoying. But it's just like, I know it's part of the Snow Queen curse, the freezing heart thing with Marion. That's the connection there. But it just feels very not connected to anything else happening.
It's out of place.
It is out of place.
It's very out of place. And you're kind of sitting there like, okay, wait a minute. We have more important things going on. Why are we focusing on this right now? Not that I don't want to focus on Regina. I love Regina.
Yeah. I'm happy to see her in her wonderful sleeveless dress and her vault. It's fine.
But I don't think I actually made any note of anything that happened with Regina in this episode because it just didn't feel important.
I just kept commenting like, Robin, go away. Like, it's like good for Regina about being open about her feelings. Yes, she wants to be with him, but she's trying to protect herself. Like, seeing him, I was like, Robin, you're not in the right here. I understand that not knowing what to do, but the thing to do is avoid Regina, not seek her out, and hurt everyone else in the process.
Like, it's so many steps to doing dumb shit.
It does end with a very nice kiss, though.
Oh, very nice kiss. I can agree with that, but at the same time, like, there's a lot happening.
Yeah, and to be fair, in the next episode, we will in fact see the morning after.
Ooh.
Just saying.
I'm sorry, my brain is horrible.
We get to see Regina be happy, which is
I'm sitting here like, Regina got some dick. And I'm like, stop, brain.
To be fair, she
not
did.
Appropriate.
But that's exactly what happened.
That's exactly what happens.
That's it. But I don't want to, there's a joke in the next episode I don't want to ruin it, so I'm not going to say it, but
okay.
I feel like people that know me know exactly what a line by a different character I'm thinking of.
I need to ask though, young Ingrid, wasn't she in The Walking Dead?
Yeah, she was.
Okay, so for anybody who has watched The Walking Dead and knows this character, I'm traumatized because of this character. So
I'll
watching her as young Ingrid, I was just kind of sitting there like, oh, trauma. No, I don't need to bring that memory back.
Yeah, I didn't write down the actor name because for the kids, they're quick, but I'll find her real fast.
Because she does something in the show that Steven hasn't gotten to yet, which he'll get to it before he hears this episode.
Does he listen to the Once Upon a Time ones?
No, he doesn't. Never mind. He only listens to Bob's because he has no idea what's going on. So I can say anything I want right now. All
Yeah, I was
right,
gonna say, he doesn't
cool.
listen to these.
He doesn't listen to the Once Upon a Time.
You can say anything we want about your husband right now.
And he'll never know. Watch him listen to One for Once. But he
We
hasn't
won't
gotten
know
to that
until
point.
June.
I know. But you know, he hasn't gotten to that point of the show yet. We just picked it back up. So he has more trauma to come.
Young Ingrid is played by Brighton Sharbino.
Yeah, she's around the same age, I think. So it looks like doesn't look like she's any older than she's in The Walking Dead. So she probably
Yeah,
had these around the same time.
this would have been filming in 2014. Yeah,
Yeah, that sounds about
this was
right.
24. Yeah, this was 2014. Her first appearance as Lizzie Samuels on The Walking Dead was in 2013. So yeah.
So yeah, this is around the same time then that she does something horrible in a different show.
She does a really good job though as young Ingrid. Like she looks a lot like Elizabeth Mitchell, and
She
they did that
does.
like down to like the way they did the panning with like her looking up and then Ingrid looking up, and I'm like, I don't have a lot of notes about a lot of the Ingrid scenes. I was just kind of watching her.
Yeah.
She's just a lot. I mean, it's the usual thing of like, this is a very attractive woman. I am transfixed, but also she's just so captivating to watch. So
Mhm.
I mean, there's a artistic reason why I didn't write notes. Let's go with that.
Yeah, let's go with that. I still was like stuck on the girls though. I was like, these girls are really standing there while they might have killed a guy instead of getting the fuck out of there. They're just like standing nearby exchanging ribbons, and I'm like, she might have just killed a man.
They're princesses. They're not really thinking about that.
They're not worried about that. The Mickey outfit was very cute to kind of like throw in there with all the little babies. I thought that was
Yeah.
adorable.
Mm-hmm.
But Snow is a first time mother.
No,
And I
she
just wrote,
is.
this is what happens when you abandon your newborn.
Well, I was lying. You never raised a baby before. You just put one through a magical wardrobe. She's not wrong.
She's not wrong. And I'm just sitting here just like I have no sympathy for Snow because yes, I know the savior, the prophecy, blah blah blah, but nothing in my brain goes, let me put my newborn baby that I just gave birth to in a magical cabinet and I'll never see her again.
No, there's no sympathy there.
That's
It's
all against your motherly instincts. So I
no,
can't.
it is. No, it absolutely is. But well, the mommy and me thing, it's both cute and weird at the same
Yeah.
time. Like, because yes, all of them have babies. It makes sense. Ashley's been doing it the longest. That also makes sense. But it still feels, it's just weird. I
I've
don't know how to
never done
explain
a
it.
mommy and me. I didn't have a group like that with either of my kids. So
I
yay for Cinderella, Aurora, and Snow White for having a mommy and me get together.
suppose I think that my mom probably did mommy and me stuff with me and my brother. I really don't know. If I wouldn't, I was an infant if I was.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you have the memory from your infancy, I will be surprised.
Yeah.
Um, I caught on really quick that she wanted to be caught in the clock tower.
Mm-hmm.
Caught on to that immediately. I'm like, why do I have a feeling she wanted to be caught? So I'm proud of myself though. I jumped
Yeah.
quickly. And I know that people were not a big fan of this, like Arendelle doing Frozen, this arc, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, it was just so the ball in Arendelle, it was so cute. The dress, like the costumes were beautiful. I actually really enjoyed being able to see that, and like bringing in Wesselton was pretty fucking funny. They
Mm-hmm.
missed opportunity bringing in Alan Tudyk though. That would have been hilarious, but he's
That
probably too
that
big
would
of a
have been
name.
amazing. He might be. He might not have been available.
Like right, but he would have been perfect. He would have done amazing. I love that man
That
because
was
my
so much fun.
favorite little behind the scenes with him is like when he was recording for Hey Hey.
Mm-hmm.
He just looks up and just goes, "I trained at Juilliard."
Yep.
After
It's
he's
like,
making chicken noises.
well, what's really funny is a blooper from the season 4 blooper reel. It's in the similar vein of Alan Tudyk making chicken noises and then just going, "I went to Juilliard." Is there's going to be a scene, there's something of Robert Carlyle doing something ridiculous, and he's just lying there, just going, "Classically trained actor."
Makes me think of David Tennant
Yeah.
because he's
Well,
the same. He's classically trained, Shakespeare, all those things, and then Just him as the 10th Doctor. Simple enough.
Well, Josh Dallas, he went to drama school in
Mhm.
the UK, so he's also a classically trained actor. Look at what he's doing. The woman who will play Corella, she went to. I mean, basically
I love it.
any of them that are British actors went to drama school in the UK, which they do a lot more like intensive training than the
Mhm.
United States drama schools and drama programs. But so it just trains you for different styles of acting. But like any British actor on this show likely went to drama school in the UK, therefore did a lot of classic training. And look at the ridiculousness that is their job.
I love it so much. I really love Henry and Regina working together. It's really sweet. It's really cute. It makes me really happy after everything that happened and Emma doing her bullshit of trying to take him away. So I'm like, yes, please, lots of Henry and Regina. They have healed their
Make up for it.
relationship. Give me the happiness.
Well,
Give
'cause
this woman some fucking happiness, please.
he knows her so well with his thing of like you were looking at the book with your scary face on. Like
Mm-hmm.
he knows her so well because she is his mom, regardless of what they've been
Yes.
trying to tell us for the last 4 years.
Look, that's going to be a sticker eventually. I'm telling you. Regina is his mother. I will
Yep.
die on that hill. Why is it always Rumble?
Because that's a very easy way to connect things over various timelines because he's always there. He's
So
200.
annoying.
He's over 200 years old. It's either him or Hook usually.
It just, so much Rumble.
Yeah.
It's okay. But it's
But to
okay.
be fair, we knew there had to be a backstory there.
Yeah, that is
Like,
true.
we had to know what that history was. And to be fair, there is still yet more history. We haven't seen everything between him and Ingrid just yet.
Goodness.
There's more to see. I can't, because we're getting to the point. I'll admit, I haven't seen this arc as many times as I've seen other ones. I used to skip it until I decided let's just watch it, and now I'm like, wow, this is actually really fucking good. So I can't remember if the flashback I'm thinking of is in Fall or in Smash the Mirror. I can't, but also Smash the
Okay.
Mirror is a 2-hour episode. So, which if you didn't hear last week, my boomer take: Smash the Mirror is just 408, not 409. I will die on this hill.
Well, that's the same with the episode right after this that we discussed with
Yes.
Leak and Ink with part 1 and 2. When it aired, it was a special.
Mhm.
So it shouldn't be split up into 2 episodes, but they do that anyways due to its length, and it's really annoying.
Yep.
So like we're doing those parts together because you have to. It's one episode. It's just 40 something minutes long instead of the original time. So we're probably gonna deal with that a lot as a TV podcast.
I would imagine so. We'll see. With once anything else that was marked, anything else that is part 2 or whatever, that is 2 different episodes. That's the way that it was put out when it was aired. Because the finale for this season is Operation Mongoose part 1 and 2, and then I don't think there's not a part 1 and part. No, there's not in season 5. There's no part 1, part 2. I don't think. And then season 6 is the final battle part 1 and 2, which is a ballsy thing to name episodes when you know you're going to have another season. Just saying.
I loved the gloves. I love that they brought the gloves in. I thought it was very smart, very sweet. But then I had this one. It was, why isn't Ingrid wearing the gloves? She's just chilling in the new dress.
Yeah, she's
not
just
wearing the
holding them.
gloves.
She's kind of ignoring the conceal, don't feel, don't let them know.
And I'm really annoyed by that. Why would she take it, get this nice, pretty new dress on, and then not fucking wear them?
Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
I'm still angry about it, actually. But yeah,
Fair.
then I had the lovely, oh shit, she just killed her own sister moment.
By
of like,
accident.
That's where Helga went.
By accident.
Oh, you feel strongly about that.
Yes, I do.
She did, though. She killed her sister. That is a thing that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then just watching Gerda do that big of a memory potion, I'm like, dude, what are you? Okay.
Well,
Okay,
it
that's
goes
the
back.
route we're taking.
It goes back into what I said last week with Ingrid's response of the rock troll shouldn't talk about things that they don't understand because all they know is Gerda's side of the story, and all Gerda knows is what she saw.
Oh,
So it's a lot of
like
which is why I'm like, by accident, because
layers.
Duke of Weaseltown's an asshole. So
yes.
Ingrid was trying to protect Helga. He used her as a human shield. That's what it was. This is my thing. I wrote this down as a topic for us to talk about because it's a thing of like Ingrid's character progression. We have to take a lot of internal liberties with this because for what they show us on the show and anything they give us as like any kind of context, the only way to make Ingrid's progression of where she was when she went into the urn of being kind of still out of control with her magic and very led by her emotions. And then as soon as she's out of the urn, she is very in control of her power and is ready to kill anybody that doesn't like magic.
Mhm.
The only way to make that make sense is if she's sentient in the urn, and they never really confirm that.
Oh, not
But
like frozen in time situation?
yeah, because she goes from not having a lot of control to being able to teach Elsa.
Is it like genie in a bottle situation where they can kinda do stuff inside?
That's the sense that I get. That's my interpretation of it, and that's the only way to make that make any sense, is if
Okay.
she's sentient and not just, like, primordial ooze until someone opens the urn again. So she has to be able to, like, function and train her magic over the over the decades
Yeah.
that she's trapped in there. And also that gives her a lot of time to be very, very jaded, because she's not a very jaded person when she goes in. She's still hopeful and wants the best for her kingdom and loves her sisters and is upset that her sister would do that to her and upset about what she did. But she's still very pure when she goes in.
And then it also makes you think of, like, how she is so soft-spoken and how she does act as, like, that long of isolation. She must
Mhm.
be sentient at that point because
She has to be.
taking control of power, and then her shift into her new personality is definitely a result of isolation.
Yeah. And
Like,
she was always pretty soft-spoken to begin. Like, we see how she is
yes, the
in the
soft
flashbacks
spokenness.
with
I
her
mean more the
sisters.
personality where instead of being smiling and
Yeah.
bubbly, she's very "I'm gonna kill you with my glare," uh,
Yeah.
type
Yeah.
personality.
She goes from
Um,
bright blue eyes to piercing blue eyes.
exactly. My last note is just though, oh, come on, not with the whispering. Like, come on. Can we not? Stop fucking whispering and tell me what you're saying.
You'll find out that one you will find out in Smash the Mirror.
See, and that's why I like this arc. I find out the information when you
Like the
should,
next
not
episode.
not 10 episodes later where you're like, if I had just known this from the beginning.
Mhm. Well, her whispering in his ear, I mean, obviously the writers clearly knew what it was, because Rumpel's response is definitely informed by what the thing is. But it reminds me of Alex Kingston did an interview when her book, the River Song novel, was released, and
Mhm.
she gave the tidbit of the behind the scenes of when she filmed like her death scene with David Tennant. I would say spoilers. This is like almost like a
Spoiler?
20-year or
Yeah,
Silence in the Library episode that Josh Dallas was in, but it's like almost like 20 years old.
that's been a while.
I hate it. But so when she dies and she comes back as Doctor Who.
It's River
Um,
Song.
it's River Song. But like when she whispers the name of the doctor to him, what she says is Shaniqua. Like she says that instead of like, because I'm
Oh,
gonna
that's
and
good.
apparently he's not somebody who like really like ever like breaks, but
Breaks.
she got him with that. And that's like very funny. Yeah, the
She
name of
got
the doctor is
David
Shaniqua,
Tennant to break?
apparently,
Wow, that's a task.
by whispering Shaniqua. So, which to be fair, like, you wouldn't expect that out of anybody. So that's what it gave me the
No.
vibe of, but a little different. But I'm going to assume that I mean, I don't know if Elizabeth Mitchell knew, but what to be saying. But sure, she just said something random. But obviously, they knew what the thing was. But yeah, this arc is definitely paced a lot better.
Much better.
And this is another why I say this all the time. I think this arc definitely still could have benefited from more episodes. I think all of the half season arcs could benefit from more episodes.
Mhm.
Pan, it would have been annoying, but it would have given us a little more time to have context. I think this is a case of I would just enjoy watching these characters wreak havoc for a lot longer. And also, we'd get a little more time with the Arendelle characters. Like, I feel like it's a lot of, they're trying to fit a
It
lot
feels
of
rushed.
storyline. Yeah, it does feel a little bit rushed because, like, ultimately, there's the 1 2 hour episode, but it's mostly fitting into 10 episodes, not 11, because the 11th episode is more to set up the Queens of Darkness than anything else.
Gotcha.
It's gonna like wrap up the loose ends of Elsa and Anna and Kristoff, and then that'll kind of be it.
Okay. 'Cause we've only seen Anna in flashbacks, really, because she's fake in that one situation, so
Yeah, we'll find out what happened to her. We'll see Kristoff. There will be
yeah.
a happy ending and a reuniting because it's once
It's
upon a
Disney.
time. It's Disney.
How often do they really go, nope, no happy ending for you,"
For the hero characters, unless you're Regina, never,
right?
basically.
They
So
love to torture Regina,
she continues to be their punching bag.
and I hate it.
So we love
So I
her.
wanna be like, "I'd love to hug her," but no, I just want her to hug me.
Like I do just want to give her a hug, quite frankly. She
Yeah.
just needs
But,
it.
like, can you just imagine hugging Lana?
She's about my height, so give that as yours.
Hey, that's a
Yeah.
happy thing for me. I I'm short. Me getting hugged by anybody is a good time for me because like
No.
I get like
Well,
engulfed.
it's funny because when we're talking about when I was making the comparison maybe last week or 2 weeks ago between Elizabeth, it might have been last week because it was the commentary of Elizabeth Mitchell being of Ingrid being much more restrained and quiet with her, and then we have Zelina who takes up a lot of space. And your response was interesting because she's such a tiny person. Rebecca Mader is taller than me. Like
Really?
I have a recent photo of me and her. My head goes up to her shoulder.
She's tall?
Hang on, let me get the photo.
I didn't realize.
Okay, saying that I'm up to her shoulder is an exaggeration, but she's still taller than me.
Wow, I was
Like
wrong.
significantly taller than me, and she wasn't
I
in
didn't know.
heels.
I did. I mean, I will say it's kind of hard to tell in a TV show because
No, yeah,
when Tom Cruise exists.
no, this is true. It's funny you say Tom Cruise because that was what they called the dwarves. Instead of hiring little people, they hired 7 Tom Cruise size actors. That's what they said.
I love this. This
Yeah,
is a wonderful moment for me.
but she's like significantly taller than me.
I love this.
So
In your Charlie suit.
in my she liked my Charlie suit. She called it dapper.
Oh,
Because I did. Because she just like when I saw her again at the autograph, she's like, "You look fantastic." I was like, "Thank you." I think I told her the story of the outfit, and we just kind of chatted for a bit.
that's always a fun time.
Also, you were just about to meet Zelina, so I told her that.
Oh, goodness.
I didn't say I don't remember if I said it was a podcast or if you were just I had a friend who's watching it for the first time. I don't remember what I said, but I said that you were very excited to finally meet Zelina.
It
But yeah.
was a fun time. I enjoyed it. It was so much like I needed Selena at that point.
No, you really did. And by the time she comes back, you're going to be like, "Thank God."
Okay.
But I don't have a whole lot of fun facts. This one, the wiki wasn't very helpful with stuff that wasn't like there's actually the story next to the photo in the book. Like that was basically stuff like that. So I have one that was actually from the 401 commentary, which is the scene with Emma and Ingrid in the interrogation when she has to bang her hand on the table for her magic to go haywire.
Yeah.
That is the time that she was talking about in the commentary where they had to keep icing her hands between takes because there's
Mm.
times where she's just like you can fake it, but there's times where you just have to go for it, and like you can handle banging your hands on a metal table once, maybe twice, but for how many times they had to do it by the end of filming that scene, her hands were covered in bruises.
Oof.
So I had that, and then the language in the spell book that Emma and Elsa are reading is not Elvish. It was written in Anglo-Saxon Futhok runes.
Yep.
But however, they claimed that it actually is an excerpt from the Book of Lost Tales by J.R.R. Tolkien.
Oh.
That's what the
So
wiki
they
said.
rewrote it in it because I don't know if they could actually use Elvish.
Probably not. I
That's
think
probably
that
not
they would
allowed
have
by his
needed
estate.
actual. They would
That's
have needed actual.
expensive.
Yeah.
That would have been expensive. Be like,
Yeah.
hey, that's probably why they did the Anglo-Saxon runes is because being able to use that language would be a trademark, I think,
I
or
would imagine so.
copyright over that because he wrote Elvish.
Yeah.
So no, I appreciate that it's not old Elder Futhark this time. They
No,
chose a different
different
one.
runes.
They're similar, but they're different.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that is pretty cool. I like that. You know me and Tolkien.
Mm-hmm. But this one, I didn't, because I don't remember which ones have it previously on, which that's not something that I felt the need to ever memorize. But I always appreciate that episodes that don't have it previously on, kind of like the ones that don't have intros in Bob's. Like,
Yes.
they're so few and far between, so you know something important is happening if they didn't waste a minute on previously on. Because it's just it means that something is special. And something I noticed that we never did at this point, it's too late to start doing it. Similarly to the Bob's episodes with the vacant storefronts, we could have been clocking what's in the title card every episode.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because the title card for once, it's they sometimes repeat things, but it's always pertinent to the episode.
Yeah, I've noticed because this one was a kite.
Yeah. So like we could have at this point, we're almost halfway through the show. There's really no point in starting now, but that was something I should have decided we were gonna do.
I know, because like I know there's another group of people that follow Bob's really closely and post about it, and they always talk about the end credits, but I never really talk about the end credits. I'm like, we all have our niches of what we enjoy talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like I usually like the symbolism, and there are times where like the title card, I'm like, maybe that was kind of a spoiler, maybe we shouldn't have put that in there. That
That's
does
fair
happen.
too.
It happens occasionally because like it's usually something that's like important to the episode. The ones that come to mind, like the Medusa was in
Mhm.
the New Neverland one. The geyser was in like the one for the Queen of Hearts. It's like when like they open like the portal in Lake Nostos, like stuff like that. Like the Sable Boy has Snow riding
Mhm.
by her horse, stuff like that. So like it's always very pertinent to the episode, but something that that I should have decided a year and a half ago is what it is.
Little late for that.
Little late. Little late start. I'll have to figure out something per episode for us to point out from the L word.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah. No, I was thinking about this before when you were saying, can we not with the whispering? Because I thought you were talking about something else, and then I realized you're talking about the thing that Ingrid tells Rumpel, and I just finished reading Leisha Haley and Kate Menig's memoir about the L word. And at one point, Kate Menig literally says like there was a scene that she was doing with one of the other actors that they had a tendency to that when they get close to kind of get really quiet, and their director just apparently yelled at them, "Can we get one at a normal volume, please?"
I
Because
like that.
they're just like whispering. So it reminded me of that. But yeah, most of my notes are about how much Outlaw Queen is annoying. Um, I love Emma and Elsa working together to control their powers because that's something that Jen was saying in the commentary, and I can probably
Mhm.
pull some stuff out more so for the next episode. I think I'm going to need it about how Elsa kind of helps Emma control her powers, kind of the same way that Anna helped Elsa with the kind of figuring stuff out with like
Mhm.
the love and the protection. But also how that influences Emma and how she uses her magic going forward. Because Jen did say after that she kind of pulled things from both Georgina, but also Elsa the movie
I
for
like
like
that.
how Emma does her laser hand stuff, which that is canonically not canonically, but that's what the actors call it, laser hands.
All right then.
But I really did love the immediate dichotomy of Mary Margaret's response to Emma's magic, immediately followed by Elsa,
Mhm.
because you have Mary Margaret shying away from the magic, and then Elsa immediately hugging her because she did something. And then later on, you have Ingrid with how proud and happy she looks when Emma blasts
Mhm.
a hole through the wall. I love those changes. It's just like these subtle things, just facial expressions that everybody
They
does
do
that are
so
just
well.
they're so good. And I was like, and like I said, like despite her hiding herself away, Ingrid's a very good big sister, both to her sisters and to Emma
Mhm.
and Elsa. Like I know you don't know this yet, but
I'll know eventually.
you'll
We'll
get
get
there.
there.
You'll get the context for Emma in 410, and then you'll get basically so you get the context for Elsa more so in Smash the Mirror and in Fall, and then you'll get the last bit of context for Emma in 410.
Okay.
Those flashbacks. The flashbacks in 410, like I not that I have mixed feelings about them. They make perfect sense, but I just they give me a lot of emotions.
Okay.
So one of which just being what I wouldn't give to have Elizabeth Mitchell look at me like that. But
Ooh.
I have a lot of feelings, but
It's okay. We're here to process those.
a lot of feelings. But this was something that I pointed out with the way that the writers took Arendellian monarchy and changed things. Because I compare a lot of times this to Frozen 2.
Mhm.
And Frozen 2 very much shows us that the monarchy, at least with Anna and Elsa, it's from their father's side.
Yes.
Because you haven't seen Frozen 2? That was
I have.
You have. Why did I think you
I
hadn't?
have children.
Yeah, that's why I was confused. Okay.
Do you
So yeah,
think I
so
could have gotten away with not watching Frozen 2 with my daughter?
I don't know.
Do you know
I
how
was
many
just
times I've seen this movie?
okay. Glad we clarified. So
I'm offended.
I'm sorry. So obviously, as you know, we know that the mother is actually like from the native
Yes.
community and everything. And but I mean, honestly, again, they're not the same. They're not the same writers. It's not the same universe. There's going to
Yeah.
be differences. And what I like is that the Once Upon a Time writers saw Arendelle in the movie as as a kingdom that readily embraces a queen in her own right,
Mhm.
and therefore put the monarchy through their mother's side. They made it a
Ooh.
tradition because I mean, so Gerda, their mother, was the queen. Ingrid was originally intended to be the queen,
Mhm.
and no one questioned that
No.
whether she had a partner or not. Like from childhood, she knew she was going to be queen, and I like. for all the times that like there's like people like writers say they do feminist takes, this is a feminist take.
Yeah.
Like they took the pre-existing Queen Elsa could be queen no matter what. Okay, so let's make that a tradition. Put
Which
it
I
through the
find
mothers.
interesting because it's a different time period,
Yeah.
but Arendelle is based off of like a Norse style. Everything's
Mm-hmm.
very Norse style. And we call them the Vikings because the Viking era, it was a job. But in that time
Yes.
period, women were allowed to own land. Women were allowed to divorce their husbands. Like women actually had rights
Mm-hmm.
in that era. Not as many, I think, as people think there were, but but being able to own land and
Mm-hmm.
divorce your husband is a huge deal
Yep.
looking back at history. So like I really love that they did go with the feminist take because traditionally, maybe not in this era, I wouldn't know. I don't know that history, but at least
Mm-hmm.
from like the era, like the area they're in, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak, what they have been inspired by was.
Yeah.
So I like it a lot.
Mm-hmm. And like again, like, kind of like what we said with the Little Thieves aspect. Like I
Mhm.
appreciate when writers are willing to just put a more modern take on something, even though it's a fantasy. But because it is a fantasy, it's like they don't just do things and claim historical. They don't just write things and claim historical accuracy. They put more
Yeah.
modern takes into things, like Little Thieves did with the pointing out how ridiculously weird child brides are.
Child brides are very weird.
So like you're allowed when you're writing historical fantasy to not make things 100% historical accuracy because there's still a level of fantasy.
Exactly.
So I like that. I loved the way Ingrid said to Emma, use your superpower. You'll see I'm telling the truth. Like she says it so matter of factly. And she
Mhm.
says that kind of like a big sister, like in the way that she does that. Like she's, even though Emma said, like, she's like, you can't push my buttons. Like Ingrid's very good at pushing her buttons.
She knows her very well.
She does. Like she said, like according to Emma's, what she found, Emma spent about 6 months there. And from what we can tell, after a while, she was the only kid.
Okay.
From what we can tell. Like there's the first video. So like
Well,
there
it
were
said the kid that took the camera.
yes, there's Kevin. There's a couple of other kids there when she gets there. I get the sense that as time goes on, she whittles it down to just Emma.
Okay.
That's the sense that I get. There's a great scene that we'll see in the Venus Smash the Mirror. Scott, because the way Ingrid convinces Emma to stay because she tries to run away, because that's what Emma does. Like she convinces her to stay in such like the perfect big sister reverse psychology way possible.
Mm.
It's so good. It's a shame
I
you can't stay, Emma.
I can't wait to watch. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I like when we get to do more than one at a time.
Yeah, well, so that flashback that's in 410, so that's gonna be a couple
Okay.
weeks.
That's
But
in a couple weeks, not the
but
next one. Okay.
no, not the next one. But I genuinely cannot wait for us to get to Smash the Mirror. The fact that we're gonna get to that in this month makes me so happy.
Because
Because there's not Smash the Mirror. Sorry,
that's
Shattered Sight. Shattered Sight Plus.
Shattered Sight. I'm about to say
Is
Smash Mirror Part 1 and 2 is next.
that's next week.
Then Fall, then Shattered Sight.
Yeah, Shattered Sight is the one I told you. That's the one that was like I was so close to giving that a perfect score, but there's a couple things in it that like with my old scale. There's a couple
Mhm.
things I just couldn't because I had taken off points for the exact same thing in earlier episodes. I'm like, dang it,
So you're like, nope, gotta
can't.
stick to my own continuity.
But it's because that one is it's just chaos.
But we like
It's
chaos.
it's it's a favorite dream of an episode. It's half the time I swear the actors are high. It's so good.
Okay, that sounds like a great time. Hold on.
There's
I
no,
want this.
quite literally, there's a scene towards the very end that's a bunch of people laughing, and we're like, I think this is just them exhausted from filming all night.
I
Like,
mean, you can feel pretty high from that.
yeah.
Sleep
So
deprivation's a bitch.
I just, I want. There's so many that I can't spoil it. I want to so badly because you're gonna love them anyway. But that episode, you have to go in blind, like as blind as possible,
Okay.
without any lines of me giving you, like so you have things to look forward to. Because I think I know which lines you're going to write down.
Yeah, because I didn't write any lines in this one, but nothing was really like I just didn't have anything, you know?
Yeah. No, sometimes you
Like,
don't.
sometimes episodes are just more interested in what's going on than what's being said.
Yeah. This one, I most of my notes are like it's commentary here and there. It's not a whole lot of like I have a couple of things. I'll save my last one for after we do the scores, but like for the most part, I get what they're doing. They're trying to like with Will and Robin. Like, they're trying to make it seem like Will is talking Robin back into going back to Mary, and when actually he's reminding Robin why he loves Regina, and it's just kind of making him more conflicted. Like, dude, yes, you make the right decision in the end. kind of, but this torturing yourself is getting old.
And also, like, stop drinking.
Yeah, the
You're
drinking wasn't.
drowning in your sorrows. Can we not?
It's not good.
It's not a healthy coping mechanism. I would know.
Yeah, and the thing that Robin says that uh, that he betrayed the merry men for love. I'm going to assume that's from the one episode of Once in Wonderland that Robin was in that I've never seen.
It's like, is it worth it? Is it worth
Really,
time of my life to watch that?
still not. I've still decided
Still not
it's
there.
not worth it. I just because that's the thing is like I think this also is a factor of Will's character again is still kind of so redundant and kind of not necessary that the little tidbits of his life that they mention that we could get the context for that they don't give us because they assume people have it.
Mm-hmm.
Not having it doesn't take anything away from the episode or the watching experience at all.
So how many patrons would we have to get to be able to convince you to watch it? How many patrons would we need for you to watch Once Upon a Time? What's it called?
How many paid patrons? We're gonna be specific
Paid patrons. How many paid patrons would we need to get for you to watch? What is it called? Is Once Upon a Time?
Once Upon a Time in Wonderland is what it's called.
In Wonderland. Okay, that's what it's called. Because we have a pretty extensive podcast for Once Upon a Time, and you are a huge fan and have never watched this other one. So how many paid patrons? Because how many are we at?
We have 13 paid patrons.
Okay. So how many do you need to be convinced? Obviously, those would be like special episodes if we.
Yeah, this would honestly, if we get to a point where we do that, it would probably be Patreon exclusive. I'll be quite honest.
It probably would, but how many would it take?
I always say this. I think my math wise, we need 30 consistent patrons to pay for Riverside.
Okay.
So 50 to do Once in Wonderland.
50. Okay.
So Riverside's still our main goal. If we get 50, let's say if we get 50 paid patrons and we stay at 50. Like people can't just like join to get the first episode and then drop. Like you gotta stay. It's $1 a month, guys. Like you gotta.
It's not much. It's not much.
We're asking for $12 out of your life. Like I'm aware, money is very important. Money is tight. The government
mm-hmm.
and the economy is shit. We're talking about $12 here. We need 50 paid patrons for me to be convinced to do Once in Wonderland as a Patreon exclusive series.
Good to know.
Decisions made here.
Decisions have been made.
Yeah.
It's like me and like being like, how many patrons does it take for my own Patreon to get me to read Game of Thrones? Yeah. Like I've debated that myself. Like how many do I need to like, because if I'm going to do it, I'm going to get paid.
No, that's absolutely fair. I would not. But
if I'm getting paid,
either way.
But if I'm getting paid, I will gladly do so.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, challenge accepted. I'm gonna see what I can do.
There we go. Oh, this is my last note, like that before we do stats and everything. This was a terrible note. When I thought this, my friend's like, I should not have been thinking this. So when Robin shows up to the vault to tell Regina that he's lived by a code all his life, but today's not one of those days. He's carrying a bag. Robin came to the vault with his strap bag, is what I wrote down.
Oh my god.
It was not a great moment in my brain, but that's where my brain went.
But that's amazing.
Because that's basically what it is. I mean, he came with an overnight bag.
He came prepared. He came prepared. He knew he was gonna get some.
He planned on staying overnight. Just saying.
He did.
So he came with his backpack. Like the good lesbian he is. But
look, I've done it many times myself as a bisexual.
No, but the fact that I just said Robin, like the good lesbian he is, that's going to make, again, a certain subset of people very, very happy.
Oh, good.
It's referencing other things. But as I wrote this down, as they were panning away after Regina and Robin were making out, another thing that I liked about the cinematography that is so often when you see people making out like that, when they cut away, or they start panning around them and out, when you see like hands moving in certain areas, you usually see the man's hand kind of going towards the woman's ass. In this case, we saw Regina's going towards Robin's. Good for you, Regina, because his hands were basically like around her shoulders. She was the one going south.
She was going for it.
Good for her. So,
I love her. Her and I are the same.
Yes. So, what did you rate this episode?
So I gave character and personal 8s.
Okay,
because pretty good.
Mhm.
Still kind of weirded out that, 3 princesses just chilling as a guy's like pretty much dying next to them. But, it's Disney.
Mhm.
And then plot 10,
Nice.
because great plot. Like, I know I'm sitting here like, oh, the Regina stuff, but I love Regina. She's getting happiness. Like, I'm fine. I'll
She's
be
getting
happy
real
about it.
happy.
Regina's not being tortured. I mean, well, nope, not going there. So it's a 26.
So I gave plot a 9. Because yeah,
Okay.
it's good. It's good plot. Also, one that I didn't say before. I love the line of love is free, but all
Mhm.
magic comes with a price. I thought that was great.
That was
Uh,
great.
I thought that was a great line. But so far, the plot, because it's necessary backstory for what happened to Ingrid, why she is the way she is, what happened, why no one knows who she is. Like at least on Elsa's side of things. Like
Mhm.
we there's a lot of good context there. It's a lot of we're moving the plot forward pretty much consistently through the end of the season or through the end of the arc.
Yeah.
So it's good plot. Again, character I also gave an 8 because mostly to do with my rant that I'm about to go on about Snow and Charming. Because oh dear,
Oh,
mostly
okay.
has to deal with them. But I gave Personal a 10 because again I was so captivated by a lot of the performances in this episode that I was just
Oh,
like
yeah.
sitting watching enjoying myself. So this one gets a 27, so I'm only off by 1 point.
Only 1 point?
Yeah.
You're a longtime listener. We get really excited when our scores add up.
Yeah. So much of Snow and mostly Snow. I'm gonna say mostly Snow because David doesn't really do much in this episode, which is par for the course. But because
He's a man.
unless it's like because he is very secondary to Snow in general, and I wouldn't be surprised if because this is the first season that the two of them have a child, like the actors.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of like asked the writers if they could make arcs one or the other heavy. That way, the others kind of can be there with their son. I wouldn't be
Yeah,
surprised. But so mostly Snow and her reaction to Emma's magic is like it's warranted, but also not. It seems like a lot all at once
it does.
is my
Felt
thing, and like
forced.
it felt a little forced. Like it's the world, like the others expected her to recoil from Emma with the bottle, and so she did. Is kind of how it felt. Because I get Emma, like with the Emma and her magic kind of being amped up because of her emotions and like that. That's we've always known this that the magic is powered by your emotions. They've always talked about that. So that part of it makes sense. But like her response to like when David gets hit with the light at the end, I was like, that was a bit much and uncalled for because like clearly it was an accident, but also he got hurt pushing Hook out of the way.
Mhm.
Like she didn't aim to throw the light
He
at
was trying
him.
to help somebody.
Yeah, he was trying to help, but like so much and like a lot of her response to this, it's a little bit of like what we said before about whether or not Snow's a first time mother or not, and Emma's because like it's a thing of like our emotions come out one way or the other. Clearly, she's feeling conflicted a little bit about having her parents having missed a lot of her childhood.
Yeah, and watching them get it with her sibling.
Exactly. So she's allowed to have those kinds of feelings. But something I found really funny, like I see this a lot, and people have still asked me this within the last time I did, probably like a Once Upon a Time live, which I don't really do those anymore. But uh, like, did I think that it was too soon for Snow and Charming to have a baby when they just reconnected with Emma? And like, yes, I do think the answer is yes. I think no one was emotionally ready for that to happen. This is a case of actors pregnant. What do you want to do? That was
Yeah.
what the choice there was. But it's a fact of like the show literally points it out by doing this,
Mhm.
by having Emma's responses to this and Snow literally saying to David, "We failed today." I went like, "No shit." Like fans are constantly, it was too soon for Snow and David to have a baby because it hurts Emma when the show literally points that out. Like it's not a
Mhm.
criticism. They know what they're doing. It's called internal conflict.
Yeah, it's kind of important when you have a show about human beings.
Like you need conflict. So the fact of that this is a case of it no one was emotionally ready for them to have a baby yet, and like the relationship's not strong enough. It's quite literally the point. People
Oh,
just need
I just
they
I
just need better literacy skills, like we always say.
this is why I needed to get 50 patrons, because if this is how you feel about normal Once Upon a Time, what are you gonna say about Once Upon a Time in Wonderland? What opinions will you have? And how many times can I get Lauren to cuss? Like, come on, guys. Like
Well,
this could be really fun.
you say that as if I don't curse all the time.
Not as much as I do.
No, this is true. But and I'll say this. But to be fair, if we do get to a point where I watch Once in Wonderland for a Patreon, because I'm coming at it with less context, I'm gonna be giving stuff less grace.
Ooh, guys, please help me. Oh my God.
Like, quite frankly, it's gonna be a lot more of like, what the fuck is happening? I hate this guy. I don't care what his motives are. Fuck him. That's what we're gonna end up seeing.
I need this in my life. This is my bread and butter. Please help me. I need this.
Because it's a case of I'm not gonna be I'm not gonna be as gentle or give as much grace because I don't have as much context, but also like kind of like Bob's, I'm a little gentler with some of my things because it's your show. I don't want to be like, what the fuck is
Yeah.
this? Like I'm gonna be a
We
little
both
more
would get to
analytical.
say whatever we wanted.
I'm gonna be a little more analytical. If it's a first time for the both of us, it's gonna be like, what the fuck?
What is
Like
happening?
why is nothing happening? Is gonna probably be a question more than often.
It's like, because then I'm sure there'll be plenty of issues of like, how does this connect to Once Upon a Time?
No, exactly. But then you're also gonna have the case of me being annoyed of what it messes up.
Ooh, okay.
Because
This will be fun.
I'm just gonna say this. Once in Wonderland is not the last time we see a version of Alice.
Oh my God.
I love
I mean,
the
they
fact that
have
your
to do that. I
smile
understand
immediately dropped. Your smile
So
immediately
it's
went down
not
as soon as I said that.
it's not my favorite story.
hmm
It never really has been.
I'll be really interested to see how you feel about the season 7 version of Alice.
Okay.
Because
Because,
as a
yeah.
character, she's kind of adorable. But and this is you're gonna forget by the time we get to this anyway.
Yeah.
The main series version of Alice is gay.
Okay, well now I need it. Wait a minute, you can't do that. Don't turn this on me.
That's
It's always
that's
better
season
when it's
7.
queer.
It's
But
always
it's
better when
always
it's queer.
better when it's queer.
She's such a sweetheart too. Because there's a part, and she's this is you're gonna forget by the time we get to this, but
Yes,
they
I
do a
have the
lot of
brain of a
talking about
squirrel.
mental health and stuff like that. And she has a
Oh,
moment that I
good.
think is one of the best things they've written on the show because she gets into an argument because not an argument, but she gets into a moment where she has an episode of something happens, and rather than
Yes,
talking to the
which is
person,
fitting for Alice in Wonderland.
yeah, and rather than talking to the person, she just kind of runs away. And so she comes up to them afterwards and goes, "Okay, so here's the thing about me. I'm never quite sure what kind of day it's going to be. Sometimes I wake up and the whole day is good, and then sometimes it's not. And I don't want you to see the not good days. Not yet, because it can be a bit too much for some people." Like that's a very common thing for people with mental illness, people with chronic illnesses.
Yeah,
It's very
I'd
common.
say so.
And the other person's response is immediately, "I get that, but you don't have to worry because it won't be too much for me, no matter what kind of day it is."
Aw.
And like they don't know each other that super well, but like it's that's one of my favorite things that they've written.
See, I
'Cause it's
really, really love that. For a reason I'll tell you after we stop recording, but that
okay.
is so sweet.
Mhm. I
Oh
love
my
her. I
goodness.
love her so much, but also the best part of it is it starts with they had a conversation about candy apples. So that someone one of them had made a joke that you can put candy in anything if you try hard enough. So it starts with her walking up with like a platter full of like melon with like sugar syrup on it, going like, "Turns out you're right. You really can put candy on anything."
Okay, I'm now excited for this. Damn
She's
it.
trying so hard. I love her so much. She tries so hard. But and she was that was one case. She was a beautifully written character and beautifully performed in a season that was very weird.
Yeah, I'll know in a couple of years.
Yep, we'll get there one day.
One day. And then we're gonna probably like cry when we hit like the last episode. We're just gonna be sitting here on our podcast crying.
Oh, we're gonna be crying.
We're going to be
Absolutely.
crying.
Because also honestly, I like the ending of the show. This is a hot take, apparently. I mean, it depends on who you talk to, but and I'll definitely go on my log analysis of why it's a fitting ending because people don't like the actual academic analysis, but I do because they just go like, "That's not." I'm like, "No, man,
Well, obviously
we're
I
gonna
do too. I'm
backtrack."
here.
Yeah. So like people they'd like to give me their arguments, and I'm like, if we actually backtrack and listen to what the characters are saying, but I think it's a very beautiful and fitting ending for the characters.
Okay. Thank you all for listening. Join us next time when we discuss Bob's Burgers Season 8, Episode 5, Thanks Hoarding, and Episode 6 and 7, The Bleakenings Parts 1 and 2. Don't forget to like, rate, and follow the podcast wherever you listen so you can be notified every time we publish a new episode. Follow us at OBDYK_pod on Instagram and Blue Sky. And if you'd like to join our Patreon, you can find the link with more details in our show notes.
This has been an episode of Okay, but Did You Know? a TV and media podcast. It was hosted by Lauren and Katie and edited by Lauren.